Hey there, happy Monday. Hope that your week is off to a great start. Really excited to be here with you today. If this happens to be your first time seeing me, welcome and thank you for watching. My name's Chrissy, and this is your Monday Mindset. I am really excited and passionate to help other women really grow in their relationship with the Lord and to really develop a biblical mindset. And so today, I am going to be talking about laying down our expectations. So if you're watching me live, I would love for you to know, just let me know live in the comments, or if you're watching on the replay, let me know that you're watching the replay. I would love for you to share your thoughts as I go through this, and I can come back around and comment a little bit later. But actually, I'm going to read a short devotion that I read this morning that I thought was really great. And then I'm actually going to read a psalm from the Bible to you and kind of just break that down and share some thoughts as I feel like the Lord brings them to me. So, the title of the devotion I read was actually from The Upper Room, and it's called Expectations. And it says, usually when I say I trust you, what I mean is I'm counting on you to do what I want or expect. Or I trust you to get this job done on time, or I trust that you will pay me back what you owe. Naturally, I do the same when I talk to God. I trust you not to let my plane crash. I trust that you will heal my friend. She goes on to say, a while back, someone I loved had a problem. I prayed and tried to trust God to fix it. Notice she said tried. I think we can all relate to that, right? It says, it seemed like the right thing to do, but I got a shock one night when the quiet voice in my head said, trusting God doesn't mean laying out your expectations and believing God will do what you want. It means laying down your expectations and trusting God. That statement is so profound. And I would like clearly, she heard from the Holy Spirit in this moment. It says, this was a scary yet strangely freeing thought. There is freedom in the words spoken to us through the Holy Spirit. She says, after all, God knows the future and he loves us. Psalm 143:8 doesn't say, give me what I want because I trust you. It says, show me the way I should go, for to you I entrust my life. David was asking God to show him the way and to help him to follow. He entrusted his life to God, and if David can truly trust, surely I can too. I thought that was really great. And so I went back and I actually read the entire psalm, Psalm 143. And there was something about this psalm that was just like really refreshing. I really love the Psalms of David because he's so raw and so real. And actually, it was really cool because yesterday, the day before, like I've been kind of thinking, like, what am I going to study? What am I going to focus on? And I really wanted to begin to dig in more to the Psalms again, just to really read through the Psalms, their model prayers, praises, all different things that we can learn from how the people of God prayed then and how we should pray now. And so I'm going to read to you this prayer of David from Psalm 143. I'm reading from uh, the Holman Christian Standard Bible is actually the version that I have right now. So I'm going to read from that. It says, Lord, hear my prayer. In your faithfulness, listen to my plea. And in your righteousness, answer me. Do not bring your servant into judgment, for no one alive is righteous in your sight. For the enemy has pursued me, crushing me to the ground, making me live in darkness like those long dead. My spirit is weak within me. My heart is overcome with dismay. All right. So, first of all, he's crying out to the Lord from an uncomfortable place, right? Can you relate to that? Are you in an uncomfortable place? Do you feel like you're being attacked? What is it that you're going through right now, right? That you can just open up your heart to God and talk to him about it. And that's what David is doing. And he's saying in the beginning, he's calling him Lord, right? He's speaking, Lord, you are God. He's revering Lord. He knows the importance um, of of God, right? Like he knows that God is everything to him. And he's saying, hear my prayer, even though he knows that God will hear his prayer, right? He's calling out and he's depending on him. He's talking about the enemy is pursuing him and he's asking the Lord, right? He says, for the enemy has pursued me, crushing me to the ground. So he's in a very, very seemingly dark place right now, right? He says, his spirit is weak within him. My spirit is weak within me. My heart is overcome with dismay. David is really beaten down at the beginning of this. But then this is what he does. And this is what I love because I've often talked about this before, right? But our past is prophecy for our future. Our past reminds us of God's faithfulness, and he was faithful. He will be faithful today and tomorrow and forevermore. He says in verse 5, I remember the days of old. I meditate on all you have done. So, how is David bringing himself out of this depressive slumber? He begins to remember what God has done for him. I reflect on the work of your hands. I spread out my hands to you. I am like parched land before you. So, he is dry and he is just soaking up the goodness of God. He is soaking up those living waters, right? He says, answer me quickly, Lord. My spirit fails. Don't hide your face from me, or I will be like those going down to the pit. Let me experience your faithful love in the morning, for I trust in you. Okay, I'm just going to pause for a second because I was listening to a talk by David Hernandez from Encounter TV, and he was just talking about when the Holy Spirit hides from you, right? And he was talking about the purpose of that when you feel, right, when you feel that God is not present. He is. He's still there, but sometimes he hides in order to produce that desperate hunger for him, to draw you closer to him. And that's what I feel like David is recognizing here, right? He knows that God is still near, but he doesn't feel that nearness. And so he's saying, right, don't hide your face from me. And then he says, let me experience, right? So he knows he's there, but he wants to experience that relationship, experience that presence of God that he has felt in the past, right? Your faith, he says, let me experience your faithful love in the morning, for I trust in you. Reveal to me the way I should go because I long for you. Reveal to me the way I should go because I long for you. Let that be our prayer for us to be led by the Holy Spirit, to be led by God Himself, and that we would be obedient, right, to His calling. Rescue me from my enemies, Lord. I come to you for protection. Teach me to do your will. Teach me to obey. Teach me to hear and to act, right? Teach me to obey. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. May your gracious spirit lead me on level ground. Because of your name, Yahweh, let me live. In your righteousness, deliver me from trouble. And in your faithful love, destroy my enemies. Wipe out all those who attack me, for I am your servant. I really love that last line. It says, wipe out all those who attack me, for I am your servant. So I'm going to talk just a minute about spiritual warfare. All right, there's a couple different things that I want to mention, but yesterday, the pastor that spoke at the church that we go to, it was just an amazing sermon. I really I could feel the Holy Spirit, and I was just super thankful for that sweet time that we had yesterday. But one of the things that he said was he doesn't really love the term spiritual warfare. He is a military veteran, and he said, honestly, um, the spiritual warfare, he didn't use these exact words, but in other words, he said it manifests in the physical, right? It has physical implications. And so it's true, right? And what is happening in the spiritual impacts the physical. So when we see people fighting against each other, when we see marriages falling apart, when we see parents and children fighting and children dishonoring their parents, this is spiritual warfare, but it's manifest in the present. And David is recognizing this warfare, and the true enemy, right? The true enemy is the adversary, the devil, who roams around seeking to devour anyone that he might. And it reminds me of James chapter 4, where he says, right, submit to the Lord, or it says, I always want to say a little bit more than what it says, but anyway, he says, submit to the Lord, right? Submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee. And I feel like that's what David is doing in Psalm 143. He is drawing near to the Lord. He is resisting the enemy because he knows that God has power over the enemy, over all of his enemies because his physical enemies are being influenced by the enemy of God, which is also the enemy of his children. And so when we draw near to God, when we submit to him, we resist the devil and the devil will flee. All right, so that was kind of like a little side note, but I just had to I feel like that's what I'm hearing from the Holy Spirit. That's what I'm learning as I read through this psalm. But going back to the expectations, right? We have got to learn to pray to follow God's will, whatever that is, right? We have to be willing to lay down our own expectations, to surrender whatever it is. And I would even say if you feel like God has given you um like sometimes like we feel like we know what God is going to give us or what he said he's going to give us. We even have to release those expectations back to him. Um because he will often do far greater than what we can think or imagine. We can't even understand, right, all that God is doing. So anyway, um surrender like of our expectations, just completely laying down anything that we might expect God to do, and just trusting God and looking for God and being aware that He is always working around us. And when we are seeking Him, I talk about this all the time. When we are seeking Him, when we are seeking first His kingdom and His righteousness, we can trust. Right, that he is working on our behalf. And I'm even going to say he's always working on your behalf if you're a true believer, whether you recognize it or not. His eternal purposes and plans cannot be thwarted. But what we want to do is live in that freedom and that abundance right here, right now on earth as it is in heaven. We don't want to wait, right? We don't want to wait until the end of this life to experience God's goodness. He is here, He is present. And in order for us to live in that fullness, I truly believe that we have to lay down our expectations, surrender our plans, surrender our dreams to Him, and let Him teach us, right? Let Him teach us His will and how to obey that will. So, anyway, that's just where I am. And I hope that it was an encouragement to you as well. Really, I like to say that the Lord's teaching me, and I'm just sharing it with you. I really felt strongly that the Lord, His instruction for me and the purpose of me showing up online is simply to share what it is that He's teaching me. And so I hope that that's encouraged you today. If you have any comments or questions, or you want to have a conversation around this or anything else, I would love for you to reach out to me in Messenger. If you're really desiring to grow in a deeper relationship with the Lord and you just don't really know where to start, I also have a little course that I created. It's called The Path to Peace, and I would love to share that with you as well. So if there's anything that you would just like to reach out for, I'm always available and always open for conversation. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye for now.